So, which version of Java you have worked on?
Mostly I have worked on Java 7, 8.
Okay. So, in Java 8, what are the features you have worked on?
I have worked on Lambda expression, functional interface,
Mm-hmm.
then stream APIs, optional class, datetime APIs.
Okay.
So yeah,
So, what is functional interface?
functional interface was introduced in Java 8, and it can have one abstract method, and also it can have default and static
Okay, one
methods.
minute. So, what do you mean by it can have? So, do you mean it may also not have the abstract method?
No, no, we should have exactly one abstract method.
Okay. And how about default and static methods?
No, no, that is not the mandatory point to make the interface as functional interface. So it it should have one abstract method, but it can have default or static methods. So it may have default and static methods or may not also have. Yeah.
Okay. So, any other criteria to make an interface as functional?
Yeah. So apart from this, we should also annotate the interface. I mean, on the top of interface, we should annotate with at the rate of functional interface.
So, is this annotation is mandatory?
No, no, this is also optional. So it is not mandatory, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a recommended way to, I mean, if we are creating any functional interface, so it's recommended to have that annotations in place.
Any advantage is there of using at the rate of functional interface annotation?
Advantage in the sense, so if we use this annotation, in that case, suppose if we are going to add a second abstract method, so in that case, like compiler will throw the error.
Mm-hmm.
It will ask us to remove the additional abstract method. So this annotation, adding this annotation basically means it makes sure that this interface is really functional interface. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, can we extend the functional interface?
Um, yes, we can extend the functional interface,
Hmm.
but we should keep in mind that the another interface should not have the additional abstract method. So
Mm-hmm.
like combinedly, these two interfaces should have only one abstract method, because if it is going to have more than one, then it is going to break the law of functional interface.
Okay. Suppose we have a interface, okay, and that has equals method, and that is abstract, okay. And again, we have another method, let's say method ABC, okay, and that is also abstract. So, is this interface functional or is this not functional? So, we have two abstract methods here, right? One is equals and one is method ABC.
This will be a functional interface because equals belongs to the object class. So whatever the methods which we are overriding from the object class, that is not counted for the abstract method inside the functional class. So only method ABC will be counted. So technically we have only one abstract method here. So yeah, so this will be counted as a functional interface.
Okay, what are the inbuilt functional interfaces? You know?
Inbuilt is predicate, then consumer, supplier, runnable. So yeah.
Okay. So what is the predicate?
Yeah, predicate is a functional interface in Java that is used to represent a condition or a like boolean value with one argument. So suppose we just want to get the boolean result like true or false. In that case, we can use this predicate. So for example, if we have to just check if the number is greater than or less than or something like that, so we just need here boolean results, right? So we can use predicate here. So yeah.
Okay. And why we use optional?
So the main purpose of using optional is to avoid null pointer exception and to make the code more expressive and readable. So optional basically provides various methods like if present and or else, right? So empty. So all these methods are provided by optional. So if we have to check if any data is there inside that, we can say just if present, then the value we can get it. So we can also say optional dot get. So this will return the value if it is present. Otherwise, it will throw the exception, no such element exception. So ultimately, the null pointer exception is avoided.
What is the difference between map and flat map?
Map and flat map basically both are used to transform the stream object. So whenever we have the kind of nested structure kind of, in that case we go for the flat map, or if we have simple stream object like not nested thing, then we go for the map. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, suppose we have let's say arrays dot as list and we have some items inside that and we just want to stream them, so we can go with the map. Okay, and suppose if we have the situation like we have arrays.addList and again inside that we have again arrays.addList and then let's say some one kind of object and again we have another nested arrays.addList. Okay, so in this situation we can use flat map. This flat map will basically whatever the nested objects are there, so it can flatten that we can say, and it can bring up to the same level and we can see all the objects in the same stream. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two.
Okay, let's assume one scenario. So you have a stream dot of A, B, C. Okay. Now we have this stream. So now when we say stream dot for each and then we print this out. Okay. Now suppose in next line again we say stream dot for each and sys out of this. So do you think it will work?
Yeah, so you mean we have the any stream we have and then we are trying to print it two times, right?
Yes, we are using stream dot for each and we are just saying system dot out dot println and with that we are doing two times.
um I think first time it will work, but second time it will throw some exception, I think.
Okay, why so?
Yeah, because I think in Java 8 we can consume the stream only once. So if we try to reconsume it using this for each statement in next line, so it will throw some error.
Okay. Okay, what is the difference between find first and find any?
Find first basically will return the first element in the stream. So that is find first, and find any will return I think any random element from the stream.
So each find n is random.
Uh, Not exactly random, but I think it is used mostly in case of parallel stream. And I mean, whatever will be, I mean, based on the uh, number of cores of the CPU where it is being run. So it will be decided that which item has to be picked. So yeah, I think whatever will be best suitable, so that item will be picked. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And what is the difference between consumer and a by consumer? Yeah, a consumer takes a single argument and then it performs the action, and by consumer takes actually two arguments. So basically both returns no result, but yeah, so based on the argument we have the difference.
Okay, let's say we have an array of zeros and ones. Okay, so assume one array is there and it has zeros and ones. It can be like 1010, 1001, or something like that. Okay, now the requirement is we want to keep all zeros at the left side and all ones to the right side. You understood?
Yeah, so basically we have one array with zeros and ones, so we just want to separate out like all zeros in the left and all ones into the right, so that we want as the output.
Yes, yes. So can you tell me how we can achieve that? What code we have to write for this?
Okay, so I think we can just sort it, then we will get it. Like since we want 0 to be in the left side, so we can just sort and we can just print it out.
Okay, can you tell me the code?
Yeah, so let's say we have array, so we can say array dot stream. So if we are using Java 8, so we can say arrays dot stream, and then the whatever the array we have, like the set of 1 and zeros, that we can pass inside that stream, and then we can say dot sorted, and then further we can collect it. So dot collect and then collectors dot to list. So yeah, this is how we can achieve it, I think.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, what is parallel stream in Java 8?
Yeah, parallel stream is in Java that is used to for the efficient processing of large set of or large collections. So we can take the advantage of multi-core processors. So like where each core is assigned with a separate task. So basically we should suppose we have the scenario like we are not bothering about the uh, sequence of the execution. So suppose we
Mm-hmm.
have some set of integers and we just have to display it without bothering about the sequence. So in that case we can go for the parallel stream, so it will perform that faster and it uses multi-threads. But suppose we have to maintain the order of elements. So in that case, actually we should not go for parallel stream, we should go for stream instead. So parallel stream is more ideal for simple and small data sets. But suppose we have the large data sets and some CPU intensive operations we have to perform. In that case, we can go for the parallel stream.
Okay, okay, okay. How to create a pre-filled map in Java?
Sorry, pre-filled map.
Yes.
We can do it using, I think map has one method, map.off we can do, and it will take the key value pairs. So we can say map.off and then key and then comma value, and again comma we can give another key and next value and so on.
Okay. Any limitation is there in this?
Using map.off we have some limitation. So I think 10 key values we can make the entry of.
Okay. Any other way is there with no limitation?
Yeah, I think map.entry we can use.
Okay. Suppose we have a requirement after that we want to modify this pre-filled map. So is it possible that further we want to modify it?
No, no. So once we create the pre-filled map, it is not possible to modify it. So we will have to create a new one. Yeah.
Okay. 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 What is the difference between ORM and JPA?
Yeah, JPA is the specification and ORM is like Hibernate and all. So they are the implementation of that. So like ORM converts the data between incompatible type system. So like we have Java objects, right? So from the relational databases tables, so whatever the data we fetch from there, so those are converted to Java objects. So that happens using the ORM. And also JPA uses JPQL, so Java Persistence Query Language. So that is a standard query language across all JPA implementations. But in case of ORM, like we can say it has its own query language. For example, in case of Hibernate, we use HQL, Hibernate Query Language.
Okay. Okay. What is the difference between process and thread?
Process and thread. So thread is the smallest unit of execution in process, and process is, we can say, an independent program that is being executed. So it has its own memory, system resources, and it is managed by the operating system. So but in thread, like it is a sequence of programmed instruction which we write, and that can be managed independently by the scheduler. Okay, okay.
Okay. So how do we make the class as immutable?
Yeah, to make the classes immutable, we have to first of all declare the class as final. Then we can make all the fields like private and final. We should have to initialize the field with the constructor, and then we should not provide any setter method. So only getter method will be there. And then if the class has other mutable fields like which can be changed, so we should return the unmodifiable view in the corresponding getter method. So yeah, so these are the steps we need to follow.
Okay. Can you explain me the components of microservices, like about its architecture and all?
Yeah, microservices is nothing but we will have the set of small applications instead of having one single big monolithic application. So basically we split that into multiple modules, and each modules can have their own um, database or maybe programming language or anything, means they all can be independent of each other. So like these modules can be assigned to different independent developers, and they can work, and further these modules can be integrated with each other to make a complete application. There can be various components of it, like we have service registry, then API gateway is there, load balancer is there, We can also have cloud configuration servers and circuit breakers and all. Again, we have multiple design patterns, and based on that, the architecture of the microservices are decided. So any request coming to the microservice, it will come through the API gateway. So here at the API gateway, all the security and authentication authorization will happen, and further this request is routed to the service registry, and service registry further there we get like the address of the microservice, next microservice, where we have to route the request. Again, for the communication between the microservices, we have synchronous and asynchronous way of communication. So we can have like HTTP REST to make the synchronous way, and for asynchronous way, we can have like a RabbitMQ, Kafka, and all. Again, suppose one microservice is not able to communicate to another microservice. So in that case, we have the histories to have the alternate way what need to be done, and there will be fallback method will be written, and the request will go to that fallback method, and whatever will be the default implementation will be there of that fallback method, that will be further returned in case of uh, uh, one microservice is not able to reach to the another microservice. So yeah, so these are the all whole process of the microservice architecture.
Okay, okay. So why microservices are better than monolithic applications?
This may not be true in all the cases. So sometimes, if suppose a small application is there, and um, it does not require to be, it may not be required to be splitted to different modules. If it is very small application, some POC and all is there. So again, it all depends on the situation and the company, how much their capability of spending power, and multiple things comes into consideration. But most of the cases nowadays, if we are going for the big applications, so yes, we have microservices are better. So because monolithic apps are like, you can say, one big box, right? So if something breaks, the whole app can go down, right? But this is not the case with microservices. So suppose any of the service is down, then we have the option of making the multiple instances of that specific microservice application. So even one is down also, the whole traffic can be moved to the other instances where it is up, right? So in microservices, each part is separately deployed, um, and also there is another benefit is there, like as I told earlier, like we can use different tools and technologies for different microservices. Even the programming language also, we can change there. We may use Java for one of the microservice, and we can also use Python for another one. So there is no limitation or boundation for that, but these things are not possible in monolithic. So yeah, so that is why in most of the cases microservices seems to be better. Yeah.
Okay. What is service discovery in microservices?
Yeah, service discovery is like, we can say, having a phone directory for microservices. So for example, let's say we have any order service and that wants to communicate with the payment service. So instead of directly hard coding that address, so we have the Eureka for the registry where that replies the address. So there, or the addresses are generated dynamically. So instead of hard coding the order service, ask the service registry. So like uh, where is the payment service kind of. So the Eureka or the registry that can further respond with the current address of that, and this like this way the scaling and moving services can be much more easier. So yeah, that is how this service discovery works in microservices.
Okay. So, what are the major challenges you think of using microservices? Is there any disadvantages of it?
Yeah, like as I told like earlier, like always we may not be needing the microservices. All organizations may not be wanting that. They might have the smaller application, and we don't want to that to be split into
Okay,
microservices.
that's fine, but there must be some reason, right? So, what will be the actual challenge?
Yeah, so for example, if we are splitting them into multiple microservices, then it will be tough to monitor, right? Because we have different microservices, so we will have to uh, get the logs of all of them. So like yeah, again we have the centralized way of logging, but again that is uh, might be unnecessary, right? So monitoring and all will be difficult. And then the another challenge we may face that like deployment, right? So like coordinating deployments across the multiple services is not easy, so that requires some automation tool. So uh, I mean we have to depend on Jenkins or Kubernetes and all, right? In case of monolithic, that is not the mandatory thing, but yeah, that is also one thing. And then uh, we also have to do inter-service communication. So since this communication is happening between the services, so there are the chances that uh, there can be some lags between the communication of between the microservices. I mean sometimes, so that will delay the response. These things normally we keep in mind when we design the microservices architecture and all. Yeah. So yeah, these are the challenges are there. Yeah.
So, how do we do the monitoring in microservices?
Yeah. In our organization, we are using Prometheus for the metrics and all. And for logs, we are using Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, like ELK stack. Yeah. So these are the tools we are using.
Okay, what is Spring Boot and why do we use it?
Yes, Spring Boot is a framework. So the Spring is the base of it, and Spring Boot came into picture because in Spring we had to do lots of configurations and all manually, and Spring Boot basically removed all those configuration things. Now user or the developer has to only think about the logics and all, so we don't have to worry about the all the boilerplate configurations which we used to do earlier in case of Spring. So now auto configuration is the thing which enables it to not to do all those things which we used to do in Spring. And also like it comes with now embedded server, for example Tomcat. So we don't have to externally set up the server like separate server. So earlier we used to have the separate server and then we used to deploy the application over there. Now it will be embedded, so with that overhead will not be there. And like if we want to add the database dependency and all, so it will automatically configure the connection and all, right? So which was not possible earlier in the Spring.
So, we have various Spring Boot starters, right? So, what are those?
Yeah, Spring Boot starter basically is like kind of instead of uh, adding multiple dependencies, now using Spring Boot starter, we can add like a whole lot of dependencies in one go, and we don't have to worry about the depending versions. So for example, we have a Spring Boot starter web, right? So this will automatically include like Spring MVC and then Jackson, right, for JSON and all. So that will be added automatically, right? And again, we have Spring Boot starter JPA. So in that case also we have JPA, Hibernate and all will be done. So now the version of Hibernate and all we don't have to worry about. So it will be compatible version only. It will be automatically downloaded and resolved by the Spring Boot. So we don't have to worry about all that. We also have other starters like Spring Boot starter actuator is there, test is there, and then we have a Spring Boot starter security, right? So yeah, so these are the few of the starter dependencies we have in a Spring Boot.
Okay, okay. So what are Spring Boot profiles?
Yeah, profiles are like we can have dev, test, production, and all. So whenever we do the development, so sometimes some of the properties or some of the variables we want to be used only for some specific environment, for example, dev or test or QA or production, right? So what we can do that we can uh, mention some of the properties like it should be used only for dev or it should be only be used with QA and all. So basically we can define the profile specific configuration in application properties. So we can have application QA dot properties like that. So it will be used only for QA, and then we can have also have like application dev properties or something. So that will be only whatever is defined there that will be used for the dev environment. And if we add it to application.properties, in that case that will be used to the all of the environments. So that will be common for everywhere. So yeah, so that is what is Spring Boot profiles.
Okay, okay. So how do you connect with database in Spring Boot?
Yeah, so as soon as any request comes, so it comes to the servlet, then it goes to the like Spring Boot controller. So then it goes to the controller, and in controller whatever the mapping REST mapping will be there. So it will go to that specific method, and then that method will be further calling to the business logics and all. So that will be into the services. So we have the services classes, and then services will be further calling to the repository classes or DOA classes. So it will go there, and then from DOA we will have the database communication. So it will be fetching whatever based on the get, post, put, or delete operation. Suppose if it is get operation, then it will be the fetching the data from the database. So for that we use Spring Boot Starter data JPA. So it will automatically include JPA and Hibernate and all. And whatever the database configurations and all are there, that we can provide those configurations to properties or YAML file. So we can give like data source URL, username, password, and all. So we can give these configurations, and we can get the data or whatever we want to do with the data. So yeah, so these are the steps we have to follow.
Okay, okay. Mhm. So how do you handle exceptions in Spring Boot?
For exceptions, we use at the rate of controller advice for the globally handling the exception, and we will have at the rate of exception handler on top of the method. So on the class level, we will have at the rate of controller advice, and at the method level, we will have at the end of exception handler. So yeah,
Okay. Okay, so what is the difference between where and having clause?
yeah, where we used to filter rows before grouping, and having, we can say it is used to filter rows after grouping. Okay, suppose we have a table employees, and it has columns like department and then salary, right? So suppose we have to say that we have to fetch only those whose salary is greater than 50,000. Okay, and we have to let's say group by, we have to do department. Okay, so we can just say select department and then count of a star, and then from that table, that employees table, and where salary greater than 50,000. So here we have said like where we have used like before grouping, right? And then we can say group by department and having count of a star greater than uh, or anything we can say the condition. So having, we are using after group by, right? So yeah, this is what is the difference between these two.
Okay, okay. Okay, what is the difference between delete, truncate, and drop?
Yeah, delete basically removes the specific row from the table based on any condition. So suppose we have a table, so we have to just I mean remove the row from it, so we can use the delete. Okay, now truncate basically will remove all the rows from that specific table, right? And then drop will delete the whole table itself. So the complete structure of the table itself will be deleted, and it cannot be further recovered. So yeah, this is the difference between these.